as many times until it's not too many times, kind of thing. Keep him honest, keep him balanced. But otherwise, great play, great
I
play.
love that answer. As many times until it's not too many times. I'm gonna tweet that to Mike Bobo right now.
Welcome to My Got a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Smith and I preview Georgia's matchup with Mississippi State. We talk through what we're looking for in the game, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out the newly redesigned MyGottaPodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at MyGottaPodcast. Finally, if you need help with your website or your online presence, head over to workingwebmedia.com/dogs. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. All right. Different John, same pre-show. Should we be recording commentary happens? It doesn't matter. We have invoked the long-running joke of, maybe sometime in a time of need, when JP isn't available, we'll just swap out John for John, and people won't notice that an H is missing. So John Smith, John Tweet Sports. Thanks for filling in for JP this week. Much appreciated.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. Honored that you would ask me. Excited to see how many people don't even recognize that this is a different John. And let's just go for it. I'm excited at the next tailgate for people to say, "Oh, I heard you your Mississippi State episode. It was great." I get a lot of I love my God a podcast when I introduce myself at tailgate. So great work. Continue doing the great work. I'm honored to be the fill-in, John.
Amazing, amazing. Since I'm always horrible about this, I know you've got like some things going on these days.
Yeah.
Tell the people about where they can find you and all the things going on.
Yeah, a couple things. One, we have the Dog Social Club, dogsocialclub.com. You can join us there as part of the Speakeasy Sports network that we are building, is number one. So Speakeasy Sports is kind of the big thing that we're working on and building right now. So Dog Social Club, you guys go join there. And the biggest thing is on November the 14th, Friday before Texas, me and Seth Saunders from the Preferred Walk On podcast and Coach Hayes from at Coach Hayes Huddle will be doing a live happy hour show from Creature Comforts Brewery in downtown Athens at 4 p.m. We'll be there from around 4 to 7-ish hanging out. Show is from 4 to 5. So come by and I'll get you a drink on me, and we'll have a good time talking ball before Texas, which is now a night game, which should be a great way to kick off a Texas weekend at Creature Comforts for a live show with me and the Preferred Walk On podcast and Coach Hayes Huddle. So come join us.
Perfect, awesome. I'm gonna be coming in hot that Friday. So if you're gonna be at the Georgia Tech basketball game, which is a
Mm,
9 p.m. tip off that Saturday night, so you can go. You got time to do both, right? You can go see
perfect.
John and crew
Yeah.
at Creature Comforts. Come by, swing by, and see my co-host from the last episode, Lily. She and I will be at the Tech game that Friday night. So.
Love it.
All right, let's do all the things. So we know where you can find John and check
Yep.
everything out. You can always follow My Got a Podcast on the socials, at My Got a Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and the TikTok. And then as always, just want to remind everyone, you can head over to homefield.mygottapodcast.com and check out what Homefield Apparel has to offer. You can always use code HUNKERDOWN for 15% off your first order. Okay, let's go through the matchup. So kickoff Saturday at noon, nooner, which is an 11 a.m. local time at Mississippi
Mhm.
State. Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville. Dogs come in 7-1, 5-1 on the season. Mississippi State 5-4, 1-4 in the SEC. Although they finally got that win under their belt last week. Let's see. The Dogs are ranked number 5 everywhere, including the new CFP poll that came out last night. Which, by the way, off the rails. Side note, that would mean if the playoff were to start tomorrow, we would be hosting Memphis, I believe, in a home game in the opening round, which would be wild. The Bizarro Bulldogs obviously not ranked in the polls. This game is on ESPN with the commentating crew of Dave Pash, Dusty Dvorak, and Taylor McGregor. I'm going to have to figure out how to get ESPN if YouTube and Disney don't come to an agreement by Saturday. Maybe I'll listen on Sirius XM stations 138 or 191. I still don't. I love referencing those for some reason now. The official hashtag that we will forget to use is hashtag UGA versus MSST for Mississippi State. And the Dogs lead this series all time 21-6. So also still wild. So few games between someone we've been playing for so long. Last meeting, the Dogs won in Athens 41-31 on October 12th, on the day that the Chad Powers season 1 finale was filmed, apparently. I now know. And weather looks nice if you're going to be there, actually. Like high of 76, looks like kind of a little cloudy, etc. But I mean, that's great. It's been kind of cold here, so that sounds like some good weather if you're heading to Stark Vegas. Okay, and then we are, if you can't tell, we're on a bit of a different schedule. I'm going to drop in Hasty's Hargrid history at a later time, so enjoy that now. All right, going to do a Hasty's Hargrid history solo here. I believe I said this would be dropped in, so I'm going to get right to it. All right, this is what Jason Hasty from the Hargrid Library sent in to us for Mississippi State. In early November 1920, the University of Georgia Wildcats football team left Athens, bound for Charlottesville in a game against the University of Virginia. When the Georgia team returned to Athens, they had fought the Orange and Blue to a 0-0 tie and had a new nickname, the Bulldogs. Before 1920, there was no particular nickname that had attached itself to Georgia's athletics. At times, they've been referred to in print as the Georgians, the Varsities, and the Athenians. Some fans in the early 20th century referred to them as the Bulldogs. Usually, they were simply known as the Red and Black. During the 1919 to 1920 season, Coach Herman Stegman's basketball team took on the nickname Wildcats. This was then adopted by the football and baseball teams, both of which were coached by Herman Stegman. Though, to make things more confusing, the baseball team was also sometimes referred to in print as the Bulldogs during this time. In its edition of April 23, 1920, the Athens Weekly Banner newspaper delved into the question of why our teams were suddenly being called the Wildcats and could find no definitive answer. They suggested that Atlanta Journal columnist Morgan Blake had given the basketball team that nickname in reference to the fighting qualities of the lightweight five that represented the university in basketball the previous season. The basketball team had fought pluckily against the odds and were nicknamed the Wildcats as a result. The Weekly Banner noted that many red and black supporters seemed to favor discarding the basketball designation. The official explanation of why we took the Bulldog as a nickname is that the aforementioned Morgan Blake wrote a column in the Atlanta Journal on November 3, 1920, about why the Georgia teams should take on the Bulldogs as a nickname rather than the Wildcats. His reasoning was mostly that there were too many teams in the South using feline nicknames, and we needed something different. In his article, he mentioned the Golden Tornado of Georgia Tech as an interesting and distinctive nickname that Georgia should emulate. Then Jason adds here, on a personal note, I think Tech was absolutely insane for dropping the Golden Tornado nickname for the Yellow Jackets. What is left out of the official explanation is that Blake concluded that if Georgia prefers Wildcats, the Wildcats it shall be. Blake held true to his disdain for the Wildcat name, and in his recap of the Virginia game, he simply referred to the Georgia team as the Red and Black. Of course, Blake had supposedly given Georgia the Wildcats nickname. The Red and Black, the newspaper, on November 5th, 1920, referred to the Georgia football team as the Bulldogs in recapping a big win against Auburn on October 30th. This was the day before the game in Charlottesville. Never again after the trip to Virginia were the Georgia teams referred to as the Wildcats. So, what to make of all of this? We must understand that during this time, the university had little to no interest in what we would call marketing and branding. The university administration in 1920 didn't hire a consulting firm to work up a marketing strategy for our athletics program. There was no advertising campaign to make sure that the fans and media were aware of a new mascot. The ideas for a mascot came organically from the teams, the fans, and, most importantly, the media. Sometimes names just stuck, like how Alabama became known as the Crimson Tide and has an elephant as a mascot. It was the same for Georgia. There were several ideas floating around, and the fans tried to make the Wildcats nickname work. But ultimately, the Bulldog nickname, which had been used by fans at times since the first years of the 20th century, took hold, and the memory of the Wildcats nickname faded into obscurity. But isn't it strange to think of an alternate reality where Georgia fans were known for hissing at opposing fans and not barking, where "Go Cats, scratch 'em" was our rallying cry, where generations of Georgia fans would do their best impressions of Larry Munson talking about all of the cat people on St. Simon's and Jekyll Island before launching into their best, "Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight," and where UGA didn't exist. Wow. Jason, thank you as always. Great stuff. I don't know. That is an alternate reality that I wish to not imagine. But again, thank you so much. Just remind everyone you can always stop by the Hargret Library on Fridays. Check out the latest exhibit from Jason. And I know we'll talk about it next week. He's got something special. There's a special event on Friday before the Texas game. I believe Will Leach is going to do an interview, and that'll be hosted in conjunction with the Hargret Library. So give more information about that next week. And thank you, Jason. And we'll get back to the episode. And man, what all the Mississippi State facts we had from Jason. Shout out, Jason. John, we're going to skip to the news and notes. So for the news and notes, I was looking. I generally just look at the injury stuff, and I will say on the good side, I didn't see Kirby say like use the word hopeful anywhere. The downside is the Jordan Hall situation. So really stoked to see him go down in the hometown kind of deal last week against Florida. And he said he'll be out for some time, is what he said. And said like it's a tough injury, etc. So that really stunk. But it sounds like we might get Chris Cole back, and that DeMello Jones is better than originally thought. So good news on those. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, no kiss of death for the hopeful to get them back. Jordan Hall, man, that sucks for Jordan Hall. He's battled through a lot of injuries, and I think when Kirby says tough injury, I mean, obviously he means physically, but I think mentally as well. If you saw Jordan Hall, he was very upset when that injury happened, and so hopefully he recovers soon and works through that, because that's a kid who's worked hard to get back, and then now had this happen. So you hate to see that continually happen to a really good football player on Georgia's football team.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's see. The Mississippi State Bulldogs are led by head coach Jeff Lebby. John, what do we need to know about Jeff Lebby for those who are not as familiar?
Yeah, what do we need to know about Jeff Lebby? Well, he wears a lot of camo. He feels like, the kind of guy that would be the ultimate frat party kind of partner. When you just look at him, you're like, okay, this is my wingman that I'm taking to the frat party. It doesn't, and sometimes that works for SEC football coaches. I don't know that it works necessarily for Jeff Lebby, but you just kind of like, he's got that vibe, but it's like, would you really want to take him with you? I don't know. But what I will say about Jeff Lebby is Jeff Lebby comes from the Briles tree of offense. He is a guy who spent a lot of time at Baylor. On some of those offenses, I think when RG3 was there, but he was at Baylor for about 10 years as on the offensive side of the ball, an offensive assistant coach. Spent time with Josh Heupel at UCF as Josh Heupel's offensive coordinator, I guess, in 2019. I don't know if he actually called any plays at UCF or if Josh Heupel called all those, but he spent time. And then he spent, I think his most notable claim to fame and why Mississippi State hired him is he spent 4 years with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. So he's a guy who, he comes from that kind of veer and shoot offensive school of thought. And I think with Jeff Lebby, he, one of the things that he is really trying to figure out, which they got over the hump last week, but had a 16-game SEC losing streak until last week. And he's kind of the opposite of Kirby Smart in terms of how the game goes, right? Georgia has been a notoriously bad first half team, but Kirby Smart has figured out how to, and staff have figured out how to, when it's winning time, Georgia has, for the most part, except for one game, figured it out.
Yeah.
Jeff Lebby and Mississippi State are kind of the opposite. When it's winning time, they have kind of collapsed. And so I think that's the interesting thing to know about Jeff Lebby is that he's a guy. He runs again like that hyper offense. We've seen it happen with Georgia versus Tennessee, where they come out, they start fast, but he's had some of the same challenges, I believe, with these kind of offense of being able to finish late in the game.
Okay. Yeah, man. They especially when Brandon Walker goes down to the sideline, right before.
Is Brandon Walker like the Arthur Blank? You remember when like Arthur Blank, like for the Falcons, he used to always go down to the sideline and people would be like, oh God. When the Falcons had a lead, he would go down the sideline and people were like, oh, we're about to lose. And it feels like maybe Brandon Walker is the Arthur Blank of Mississippi State football.
he,
Or he just goes down and you're like, all right, go. And now this is where everything comes off the tracks. I don't know.
he may be. I love how like Josh Pate like specifically like he has like explicitly blamed the Texas loss on Brandon Walker. It's great.
Which when you can blame something on Brandon Walker, you blame something on Brandon Walker. I feel like that's just a life rule at this point.
100%.
Yeah.
We are in agreement on that. Okay, let's kind of get into the game a bit. So just like kind of the macro type stuff. So we do have better net yards per play. That's something we always look at, although we're still definitely not in that elite range. So we're at 0.81 net yards per play. Mississippi State at 0.42. And then they've definitely got or they're looking better thus far through their season on like turnover margin. So they're actually +4 in the turnover margin, whereas Georgia's still sitting there at -2. So definitely something to watch about. Definitely protect the football kind of situation going on here. So things to kind of look for: Georgia offense versus Mississippi State defense. So just kind of rattle off some of their defensive leaders. So the leading tackler is Jerron Manning. He's a senior safety, 64 total tackles and 1 pick. Brylan Lanier is a senior safety. He's got 3 picks on the season, also 43 total tackles. And then Will Whitson is a senior defensive lineman with 2 sacks on the season, also 8 total tackles. So I don't know. I think one thing that jumps out to me right there is your leading tackler is a safety.
Mhm.
I do find that interesting. That kind of tells me people are getting through that initial line and getting to that second level, I guess, a lot against this defense. I think kind
Mhm.
of numbers wise, I do feel like our offense looks to, have an advantage over their defense. This is where I'll be honest. And it's like, I haven't watched a ton of Mississippi State. I've definitely seen some clips. I mean, I've seen some highlight clips, etc. I did watch like the end of the Texas game in the overtime, but I don't know. Is there anything that to watch out for as far as their defense goes?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I think what's interesting is like if you talk about, so shout out Dog Stats and the
Mm.
Dog Stats site on Speedy Sports because Josh has kind of broken down a lot of these things by actual pass versus run, etc. And a big thing that jumps out immediately with Mississippi State is they actually have a decent defense success rate versus the pass, but you look at their defensive rush success rate, and it's one of the worst in the SEC. And so that kind of tells you, right, that you know may be able to run the ball on Mississippi State. And the other thing that when you look at, and not surprising at all, I would say shouldn't be surprising at all, is when you look at kind of versus Power Four opponents. Really, they're I think 105th in yards per carry on the offensive side of the ball, right? So
Mm.
their thing is they can defend the pass well. They throw it a lot, sling it around a lot. They are clearly missing versus Power Four opponents an actual run game, averaging 109 rush yards and 2.7 yards per carry, and having one of, like I said, one of the worst rush success rates in the SEC. So I
Yeah.
think that for me is where this matchup really comes down to cliche. We need like a bell when cliches are about to be. It's like ding, like whatever. Word of the day, Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse. We'll all scream.
Okay.
But
I'm thinking. The mind is going. What do we need to add to the soundboard for this?
yes,
I'll come up with
exactly.
something. I'll come up with something.
The sound effects of cliche of the day. But this game is going to come down to what it seems like all these games come down to in November is line of scrimmage. Like, can Georgia, who can run the ball, who can stop the run? I think running the ball is going to open up the passing game for Georgia as it has done when it's been working well all year long. And if you look at it on paper, again, you mentioned not watching a lot of Mississippi State highlights, but if you look at it on paper, it does seem like that's an advantage for Georgia, right? Where Georgia,
Mhm.
averaging 4.2 yards a carry versus Power Four teams, 175 yards a game rushing. And so the ability to run the football on Mississippi State is going to be key, absolutely key. And I also think this is the kind of game it feels like with Kirby Smart, where you get these kind of games that feel a little bit like a trap game with Texas coming to town next week. And sometimes you do see Georgia, do that kind of. We've seen it time and time again with Kentucky when we played Kentucky later in the year. You just
Mhm.
see Georgia go, and it's like, all right, cool. We're just gonna, we might score 16 points, and we're just gonna run the ball like, like 55 times. That could be
Yeah.
that kind of game for Georgia versus Mississippi State. I don't necessarily think it will be, just because I think Mississippi State has proven, that they can score on relatively good defenses, right? Like Texas
Yeah.
defense is not necessarily elite, but they've got a lot of dudes over there, and Mississippi State put up a lot of points. So it's going to be in the trenches, and I am very curious to see can Mississippi State establish any kind of run game, and can they stop Georgia running the
Yeah.
ball? And I think that's where it's going to come down to it in this game.
Yeah, it makes sense. Couple of the like skill players, et cetera, like notable folks from Mississippi State's offense. So
Mhm.
quarterback Blake Shapen, senior, he's putting up, a lot of stats. So 2,148 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 picks.
Mhm.
And then that running game you're talking about. So great name, Fluff Bothwell, sophomore running back, is the leading rusher, 490 yards and 6 touchdowns. Devon Booth is their second leading rusher, 475 and 7. So it looks like very much a 1A and 1B kind of situation with their running backs.
Mhm.
And then that air attack, Brennan Thompson, senior receiver, 41 catches, 716 yards, 6 touchdowns. And then a familiar name, Anthony Evans III, junior wide receiver, transferred from Georgia, 52 catches, 653 yards, 4 touchdowns. He is someone that has jumped out to me when I have flipped over and watched a little bit of Mississippi State. I think good for him. I think he kind of struggled getting on the field with us. He was a guy. JP was always asking, "Where's Anthony Evans? Where's Anthony Evans?" Other than punt returns, he never really consistently stayed on the field. I still think it comes down to the whole like you have to block at Georgia. I still
Yeah.
stand by. I think that was the reason. But that is something to watch out for. I think our secondary really needs to keep an eye on him because he's going to have a chip on his shoulder on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, no block, no rock, right? I mean, that's it's it's no
Yes.
block, no rock. And that is why that's why Anthony Evans didn't get on the field.
Yeah.
And you saw it toward the end of Anthony Evans' tenure at Georgia. I mean, the staff they were trying to play him. They were trying to get him in position, and I think he had a couple of situations where he had a couple of drops and he
Yeah.
struggled, blocking. And again, that's fine. I don't want to. I'm certainly. Let me be clear. I'm not belittling or talking down about Anthony Evans at all. I think Anthony Evans is a really, really good football player, and I am pumped that he is finding success. Just like I was pumped, AD Mitchell went to Texas to be closer to his family and his daughter. It's like
Yeah.
I want people to have success in their life. I do not want them to have success against my football team, but I do want them to
Right.
have success in their life and in accomplishing their goals, right?
Yeah.
But Anthony Evans, in this Mississippi State offense, you don't have to block that much, right? It's a lot
Yeah.
of short, kind of screen game, a lot of one read, that, like I said, that veer and shoot kind of offense, and so this is a good fit for him. It's a good fit for a guy who, if you don't have to be a physical blocking wide receiver to get on the field, it's a great fit. And so I think Anthony Evans has not only found a good fit, but to your point, I think, man, shout out to Jeff Lebby and shout out to the Mississippi State staff for using Anthony Evans to his strength. I mean, this guy, they are putting him in positions where he can win one-on-ones. He's fast as hell, where he can, run not complex, kind of route trees. He can just beat dudes. And when you put a
Yeah.
guy like that out there to just beat dudes, he's doing what those guys do. He's beating dudes. And and it's going to be interesting to see how Georgia plays Anthony Evans as a result, right? Like I think he's
Hmm.
definitely going to have a chip on his shoulder. I think you also can't. We've seen it, before. It's like can't be too high, you can't be too low. You
Yeah.
can't, one player is not going to win this football game for
Yep.
Mississippi State or for Georgia, and so I'm really interested to see how Georgia, plays Anthony Evans, and also, how Mississippi State decides to use him as well. But man, good on that kid.
Yeah.
His season PFF grade for run blocking is 44.2, which is terrible.
Yeah.
But 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 he's catching the ball and he's running with it. So that's exactly what I think why he went to Mississippi State.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's so much to be said about the fit,
Yeah,
players with teams. I mean, I think Branch is a good example of that too, right? I mean, look at what he's
yeah,
doing at Georgia versus what he did at USC. I mean,
yeah.
huge difference. So,
Yeah, and the thing about Zachariah Branch as well is that um, Kirby Smart talked about in the off season about how Zachariah Branch really cared. He's a smaller guy, and
mhm.
he really cared about. Kirby said something about he cares about taking care of his body and bulking up, and he was like
Mhm.
he was basically saying, yeah, for a smaller guy comparatively to these other guys, he really wants to be a physical football player. And I think you see that with Zach Branch, right? Like I think Zach Branch can be out there in some situational things where, yeah, he could, he can make a block or two for you.
Yeah.
Versus, he's not just that speedster guy. But at the end of the day, that's it. That's what you want, right? Like Mississippi State found a place for how to use Anthony Evans. Georgia brought Zachariah Branch over and found a way to use him. It's like, yeah, that's football. And I'm happy for both of those guys. I
Right.
hope this week that Anthony Evans has, 0 catches for 0 yards on 5 targets, and one of them is tipped for a pick six, right? That would be like
Yeah.
ideal situation. Like he just craters in this game. And then he turns around next week and, has 12 catches for 150 yards and 5 touchdowns for all I care. But like
Yeah. Yeah.
but at the end of the day, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see that matchup for sure.
Yeah, me too. I will also add that I'm glad that they like got over the hump last week
Mm-hmm.
because they as a team have been so close to get notching that
Mm-hmm.
first SEC win
Mm-hmm.
so many times. And I don't know, I'm glad it's not like hitting to a crescendo against us this weekend, right? So they've already done it. They've done it now. There's not so much of that buildup anymore. I guess that was all kind of like released, so to say. But like that does make me feel a little bit better. I don't know if it should or shouldn't, but it does. Okay, quick on the special teams. So Kyle Ferry is a junior. He's their place kicker, 9 of 12 on the
Mm.
season for field goals. So something to watch out for. He is perfect on extra points. And then I'm going to give them a pass. We usually say that if your punter isn't from Australia, you don't take special teams seriously. Their punter is Ethan Pulliam. He's a sophomore. He is averaging almost 48 yards a punt though. And he's from Starkville, so he's a hometown kid. So I'm going to
Oh
give him a
wow.
pass. That's
Okay.
okay. You get a hometown kid that's like averaging 48 yards a punt. I'll say you do take special teams seriously. So I'm going to
Yeah.
give him a pass there.
Yeah.
I guess could this be a situation where we see a big return down to Zachariah Branch? I'm still waiting for those stars to align. We'll see.
Yeah,
Maybe not. Maybe
yeah. I
maybe
mean,
not.
I think special teams, especially in the SEC, their teams are really. There's two things. Teams are really good. You have a lot of good punters, right? You have a lot of. They go out and find guys who can really kick the ball. And number two, I do think just in general, I think coaches have kind of de-emphasized returns to a certain extent, right? I think Kirby Smart, in many situations would rather just have the fair catch, and versus risking a turnover. But you saw, Texas A&M, that Concepcion kid return that punt for LSU.
Yeah.
That for me was like exactly what I feel like Zach Branch, could do if given the opportunity. And I actually this summer was at a scrimmage for Georgia and saw Zach Branch like make some guys look silly on a punt return, and so he
Yeah.
definitely can do it. I'm curious if it's more. is he going to get an opportunity, or is it like Kirby and staff just doing the, yep, let's just play safe,
True.
and catch the ball and bring the offense out on the field.
Yeah, nothing wrong with a fair catch, especially on a kick return. That's my my preference.
Correct.
I've gotten Lily on that train too. Like whenever
Why
we'll be
wouldn't
watching
you?
a game and
Yeah.
somebody we try to run a kickback, it's like why
Yeah.
fair catch
Yeah.
30 yards
I mean,
or whatever it is,
yeah. Yeah.
25.
I'm still, I mean, yeah, there's this coach in FCS. Maybe I can't remember the guy. Maybe it's the guy who coaches at Presbyterian. I'm gonna get that wrong, but there's a coach in FCS who basically like never punts.
Mm-hmm.
He
Oh
just
yeah,
like
yeah,
goes for it. Like he punts, but like rarely punts,
yeah.
because of the analytics. And I feel like if you looked at kickoff returns, it would just be like, hey, just fair catch. Like if you just look at the analytics, it's probably like stupid for anybody to ever try to return a kickoff.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but when they take it to the house, it always feels like, it's like when I go to the gas station and I see those Christmas time, and I see the scratch offs, and I'm like, yep, nope, no, I don't need to buy those. I don't, and then I buy them and I use them as stocking stuffers, and then somebody wins like $5 or a ticket or whatever, and you bought 27 tickets, and there's like one person won $1, and everybody's like, oh, we're gonna go buy some scratch off. It's like because
Yeah.
somebody did it. Everybody's gonna do it. I feel like that's
Yes,
the situation with kickoff
I
returns.
100% agree with you.
Here's the example. There is an example. Okay,
Right,
yes, there's an example, but the law of averages probably not on our
right.
side.
It is possible, but
Yes.
probably not the best idea. Cool. All right, you ready to? I think we've got some listener questions. If you're cool to hit those.
I would love listener questions.
All right. Listener questions, as always, are brought to you by Working Web Media. So they helped us redo our mygodapodcast.com website over the summer last year. So you can go over there, check that out to see some of their work. But they're available for you. You got a small business, you need help with some help with your website or just your online presence in general. Head over to workingwebmedia.com/dogs, and they will know that we sent you their way. All right. As always, we're going to kick it off with the Belding bonus, TM from Brett Belding. The listener question solicitation tweet had a Mike Leach GIF in it because we still think of him as Mississippi State. It was from when he was on Friday Night Lights. So he opens with, "What is your favorite Mike Leach moment?"
Ooh, that's tough.
It is.
Can I give you? I'm going to give you a couple,
Okay,
because
that's great.
I'll do this. I'll give you one on field and one off the field.
Okay, that's great.
There we go. Let's do that. The off the field for me was at one of his press conferences when he was talking about, I mean, there's a number of them, but I'll just go with the one where he was talking about the hardest places to play
Mm.
and the loudest stadiums. And he started talking about the stadium in Arkansas, in Little Rock, where it was all concrete. And he's like, and it's just, it would, you would yell, and he'd be, he started doing the echo. He's like, he's just bouncing off everywhere. And he's like, it was so loud. He was just going on for, 5 minutes on how loud the stadium was because it's all made of concrete. That one was really awesome. And then the on field for me has to be because Mississippi State, I'll keep it Mississippi State, was when the offense was playing terrible and he walked over and started folding up all the chairs and laying them down in the middle of the game. So
Yeah,
it said the players didn't deserve to sit
I forgot about that.
because of how bad the offense was playing. And he just started like folding up chairs and laying them down on the ground, so that the players couldn't have a chair to sit in when they came off the field. I thought that one was exceptional.
That was good. I also can never come down to one. So my two are the shade tree drinking lemonade with your little. Hold on.
Sit behind a shade tree, eat a fish sandwich, and drink a lemonade with your fat little girlfriend.
Like what was going on with that? I don't know. So that was another press conference moment. Mine
Yeah.
are both from press conferences.
Yeah.
The other one is when he was at Washington State and he got asked which mascot would win in a fight, and the
Oh
answer
gosh.
was unbelievable, and he like actually took it seriously and
Yeah.
tried to figure it out. And go look that up on YouTube. It's
That one was so
fantastic.
good. Your fat little girlfriends was after a loss, and he was basically talking about his team caring more about other things and not caring about
Unbelievable.
football.
So good.
Yeah, incredible moments.
Okay, Brett's second question is: if Georgia had an equivalent to the cowbell, what would it be? And I was trying to figure out something with a dog that I couldn't figure out exactly what it would be.
I mean, I think it's barking, but I guess if you're talking about like you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
feel like we kind of
that's
have
true.
it. I feel
No,
like
that's
barking is kind of the cowbell. We don't want to
yeah.
admit it, but I do feel like other teams and fan bases view barking in a similar category as ringing a cowbell.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think
so
that's the
maybe,
answer. I
yeah,
like that
that's the
answer.
answer for me. I think we have it. I think it's barking.
And
And I think other teams would probably say, yeah, would say that too. I think if you wanted something physical, though, I don't know. I don't know physical. I think, yeah,
yeah, I was trying to think of like something with a dog collar or somehow making noise or something,
maybe
but
like a squeak toy, like the
yeah.
dog. I don't know, a squeaky bone.
It's a squeaky
I
bone,
don't,
but that makes a
it's,
barking sound. Barking
I
sound.
don't,
Hey,
yeah,
we don't need artificial noisemakers for our
mm.
sound. I like that.
We
I
have our
like that answer.
voices, and we will bark at you, and I will, and I have absolutely apologized for nothing
Well, I
when I
keep
bark.
saying that the problem with that Allstate commercial is that the boss wouldn't be mad if the guy barks at her. Like that's what you're
No,
supposed to do. So,
yeah,
anyways.
absolutely, yeah,
All right, let's
absolutely.
go to 51-7 GATA. How many times would you like to see the toss sweep this week versus Hail State? I think all the times. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I would love toss sweep to Chauncey Bowens over and over and over. Um, I would love it. I think for me, I think like I mentioned before, especially with Mississippi State's rush defense and kind of how they performed. Um, yeah, I think I as many times as you can. I would not like to see it. Yeah, maybe it's like the situations I would not like to see it. You know what I
mm,
mean? So if
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like if it's if it's 3rd and 6 to the short side of the field, maybe let's just not do that. But
Yes,
every other time we could do it.
that sounds perfect. Yeah, to me, it's like as many times until it's not too many times, kind of thing. Keep them honest, keep them balanced. But otherwise, great play, great
I
play.
love that answer. As many times until it's not too many times. I'm gonna tweet that to Mike Bobo right now. It's an actual statistical category.
I bet Craig could define how many times that is
Oh
until
God. I bet
whatever.
Craig could tell you how many times Georgia has run it. Anyway.
All right. Let's go to John Michael D. Let's see. He had a little stitious update. He said, had to listen to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party on radio the whole time as I was driving to attend a funeral visitation. So sorry for your loss, John Michael D. Changed to normal game day attire at halftime after leaving the funeral home. Hey, shout out. This stuff matters. Little stitious. Okay. So he says the quarterback. Oh yeah. So he has two things. First, I think this is just a learning moment. The quarterback can be called for enthusiastic clapping, trying to draw the defense off sides. Yes, it is in the rule
Correct.
book. It is in the rule book.
Yeah, yeah, and it's what's also in the rule book is that the defense cannot use clapping
Mm,
as a signal, and
right.
Auburn fans, um, your safety was clapping in the whole like timeout debacle, so that's
Yes.
also in the rule book.
Correct.
Um, but
Correct.
uh, but no, I don't. What I don't understand, just real quick on a very like 10-second tangent, the rule book basically gives examples of interpretation, and it
Yeah.
talks about like throwing your shoulders forward and is basically describing an exaggerated clap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I when 93,000 people or 90,000 people or 60,000 I guess at Mississippi State are ringing cowbells and and you need your team to hear you, like
Yeah.
how can you not exaggerate a clap? Like I think for me, my situation was not necessarily that um I mean, I hated that they called it. I didn't really understand. I don't understand the rule, but my issue was mostly that when they called the false start, Drew Bobo had actually snapped the ball. So it wasn't like,
Mm,
it's like they called an exaggerated clap after the ball was snapped, which for me was like, wait, why? So I guess that was
yeah.
my issue with it was the timing. I get it if you do it and then you don't snap the ball, but like when you do it and you snap the ball, that feels like maybe you were just trying to get your center to hear your clap.
Yeah, it's like the mechanics of it, right? It's
Yeah, for
like
sure.
the play continues if it's offside, if it's a false
Well,
start, it should be blown dead kind of thing immediately.
Well,
So
it's like eating at a restaurant, right? Like some people just eat and it's like, oh, they're a normal eater. Some people it's like they're an exaggerated eater. I don't know the diff like I guess maybe I know it when I see it, but I do think it's up to interpretation.
yeah,
And
yeah, for
so
sure.
that's the issue for me is what's the difference between hard clapping and exaggerated clapping?
Right, right.
But
Hard to
whatever.
know.
Yep.
It's in the eye of the beholder, I suppose. Two, what is your favorite rivalry turnaround under Kirby, and why is it his record against the slimy, ugly, nasty, wretched, stinking Gata? And he tagged Logan Booker in that. I think it's got to be that for me because to be honest, I feel like most of the other rivalries, um, Rick had already kind of turned around. So like I would say Rick definitely turned around the Tech rivalry and the Tennessee rivalry. Um, I guess Auburn, I think that's still also true. So to me, this was the one that we still didn't have kind of under wraps that Kirby kind of finished off. So I think that's the right answer.
Yeah, I think it has to be that mostly because I think before Kirby came to Georgia, Florida had won. They won in 2014, 2015. And so
Yeah.
it's like they had a winning streak and then they won in the first year versus Kirby Smart as well. And so yeah, before Kirby came, Florida had won 5 of the last 8. And so it feels like that was still a little bit one-sided before he showed up.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Mm. Yep.
Okay, let's go to Kevin. And for Kevin, it's time for Jeopardy. John and Jim, which hey, it still works. John and Jim, your category is infrequent bulldogs, and the answer is a daily double. All right. Despite both teams being founding members, Georgia and Mississippi State have only played 24 times, making it one of the least frequently played games in the conference. However, the least played SEC game by founding members is between the Bizarro Bulldogs and this opponent. And I have a guess, but I'll let, do you want to take a guess first? Because I don't know the answer to this for sure.
By founding members.
Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah. So by another, my guess was going to be Vanderbilt. That was going to be my guess.
yeah. I would
Eh,
say that, but I feel like Vandy. Um. Hmm. I feel like Vandy. I feel like we've played them a lot though.
No, it's between Mississippi State. So so
Between
there's a
Mississippi State. Okay,
yeah.
I
So
was thinking Georgia. I was thinking Georgia. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
he's
that
saying the
makes it.
least. Yeah, the
Yeah.
actual least played SEC game is
Oh,
between founding members is
got
between Mississippi
got
State
it. Okay,
and
okay,
somebody else.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Then yeah, put my brain off of on the right track.
That was okay. So my
Man,
guess
I'm
is
gonna say
Vandy.
between founding members, I'm gonna say Mississippi. I'm gonna say Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. I think that has to be it.
Okay. Okay. He sends the answers, and I don't look ahead of time. So give me a second while I pull myself together and open up Twitter.
Okay.
And okay. Hey, we're right. It is Vanderbilt.
Nice.
So he said Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt have only played 22 times, and since their first bout in 1904, where Vanderbilt defeated State 61 to nothing.
Ooh,
So that's a good pull. That's a good pull. I like that one.
that's very cool. You know, yeah, Mississippi State, they've only played Tennessee 36 times. I mean,
Yeah.
feels like some of these founding members, they have not played them very often.
I find that super interesting because like I get frustrated with like the current scheduling practices and things, but then you look like way back when in the
Mhm.
early days of the SEC and like these teams weren't playing each other. It's
Mm,
kind of wild, honestly.
No, they weren't. Yeah, even when even when there was 10 teams or whatever in the
Yeah.
league, and it was still they had 5 games a year and
Right.
didn't play each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
weird. All right. Appreciate it, Kevin. Love the double Jeopardy. Okay. Let's go to Addison, daughter of friend of the show, Tim Riley, who still Addison, I told your dad you could just email us or something. That's fine. We'll take him that way. But so Tim tweeted at us and said, Addison says, our D is, and she gave a poop emoji.
Mhm.
Early in games, what needs to happen to spark a change for the rest of the season? my joke keeps being, can we give the halftime speech at pregame? But I don't know what the actual answer is to that.
The actual answer is that players need to play better football. Period.
Yeah.
Like it's just maybe it's the halftime speech at the beginning of the game. But when you look at what's happening on defense with Georgia, it's not teams have figured out where the mismatches are, and players have not adjusted to those mismatches. And I don't think the coaching staff has adjusted to the level of talent on the team either. And I don't mean that to be derogatory, but it's just like, I do think Glenn Schumann and Kirby Smart and that staff, they are used to having guys who are NFL caliber guys, and they're used to having guys who are making the NFL leap in the years that some of these guys are in, right? So they're used to having Dalen Everett is a good example, where they're used to having a guy that guy has made the NFL leap this year. This is the year that he becomes, Kamari Lassiter or Keely Ringo. They're used to having, KJ Bolden make the Malachi Starks kind of leap. And those guys just haven't. And so it does not saying that they won't, but they haven't yet. And I think we just keep rolling out, the same kind of approach and thinking like, yep, today's the day they're going to make the plays, and they haven't. And so I think players just got to play better. And I know that's very like simplistic, but I think at the end of the day, I believe with all of my heart, firmly deep inside of my heart, because I've seen it happen with Kirby Smart, where Tennessee 2021 is my best example, where Joe Milton and Tennessee come right down the field and score, come right down the field again, kick a field goal. Kirby Smart moves Christopher Smith to star, takes Latavius Burney out of the game, puts Dan Jackson up high, and Tennessee didn't score again until like garbage time in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And a team that looked like we could not stop them, and we immediately shut it down. I don't think Kirby has those adjustments this year, or he would be making them. I firmly believe like he would be making them early if he had them. And so I think this year it's just players just got to play better, period.
Yeah. I do feel like, so one of those players, I feel like CJ Allen has turned a corner. I feel like I saw that in the Florida game. He's flying around the field. So just need some more guys to do that.
Yep. Agree.
All right, let's head to Fletcher Proctor. What is more annoying, the Mississippi State Cowbells or the 2010 World Cup South Africa Vuvuzela? I actually have kind of grown to like the Vuvuzela. Lily and I talked in the review that a neighbor down the street was blowing his Vuvuzela in our direction, kind of heckling us during the game. And there's a lot of soccer watching that goes around here, so we tend to blow the Vuvuzelas in the neighborhood a bit.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm going to say cowbells because I can't say the other word.
Amazing.
Vuvuzela. Is that what you said? Vuvuzela? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just say cowbells.
It's like this very long, like horn.
Yeah. Oh, I know what it is. Oh, yeah. It was, I kept trying to fix my TV during the World Cup where in South Africa where
yes.
I was like, what is going on? I know what it is. I just can't pronounce it.
All right, and now we're going to get into the first like official Hoops Minute of the season, because Fletcher says also Hoop Dogs start up this week. What are your thoughts on the non-conference schedule highlighted by Xavier, Georgia Tech, Cincinnati, and Florida State? Fletcher says 12-0 start. As for this game against the Bizarro Dogs by 18. So the Hoop Dogs are off. They're 1-0. They beat. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right. Bellarmine. I don't know if that's right or not, but that was Monday.
Maybe so. The Knights of Bellarmine.
Yeah. So I don't know, beat them. I think they almost like doubled them up. Really cool to see a Wilkins wearing number 21 get a steal and a dunk in a game with his dad there cheering him on. That was pretty dang cool. That's about all I've got right now. I will say, Fletcher, this is probably going to let you down a little bit. I am in the early season. I need to learn the roster phase of Georgia basketball. That is an annual tradition now for me. A lot of turnover. I know the guys that are back, obviously. We had Blue Cane and Samto and company, but I'm still in the learn the roster phase. Currently,
Jim knows Blue Cane, Samto, and Dominique Wilkins' son. That Jim will figure out his actual like first name pretty soon. That's
right.
Jim is.
That's right. Well, then we have a Wilkins and a Wilkinson. I think.
Yes,
So it's
Jeremiah Wilkinson.
it's very confusing.
Yeah, no, this roster is very good. I will tell you, Cannon Catchings is a name that Georgia fans need to know. He's a guy who played at BYU and played for overtime in the overtime league that Santo Cyril also played for. And he versus Bellarmine, he didn't get. I think he played. I think he had 9 points or something. Played 20 minutes. But that guy is an NFL. That kid is an NBA basketball player. Cannon Catchings. Learn Cannon Catchings. Learn Jeremiah Wilkinson. Learn Jake Wilkins. Blue Cane, Santos Cyril, Dylan James. I mean, there's a number, but Cannon Catchings. That's my guy. Yeah.
I'll be fully up to speed by the time I make my way over there for the Georgia Tech game next Friday night. That's the goal.
Yep.
Okay, let's head to Bubby Dean. Bubby says he's got a flurry. We'll go through these rapid fire. Can the Dogs get a freaking sack this week? Man, I hope so. I know Dwight replied and was like, let's not talk about sacks on this season. I don't know though. They get the ball out pretty quick. So
maybe. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I think Georgia, I think we played a lot of teams with quarterbacks that we should have racked up some sacks on.
Yeah. And
we did not rack up sacks on those teams. And so that for me makes me nervous, to your point, for a team that gets the ball out pretty quick. And I think I will say with Mississippi State, I was trying to look it up because I had it right here in front of me, and then I clicked on it. Yeah, so Mississippi State, they do allow a lot of sacks. Okay. They've allowed 29 on the year, which is 129th out of 136. But I don't know if those, I don't know how, I mean, I guess they're clearly counted as sacks on the stat sheet, but are they sacks like, is it, what's I'm always curious, like, what's the actual,
like the definition
sack count? Yeah. Like, is it definition, right? Like, is it a situation where, is it a, like a sack, like we like 5-8 yard loss, or is it, quarterback
took off to run.
Quarterback started to take off, like you dropped him for a yard loss. I think for Dwight, I don't think Dwight cares. I think Dwight's like, count them all as sack. Every time the quarterback 100%. Gets tackled is a sack.
That's right. I feel like we got credited for one that was like on a trick play where like a running back was trying to throw and we got him in a game. I think that counted as a sack. So we'll take it.
All right.
Let's see. These two we can do together. Who wins the turnover battle and who wins the penalty battle? I would say that is an important thing, especially with this early kickoff, on the road kind of thing. That's somewhere where I would, I want to see us play a clean game in those categories. So I'm going to say the Dogs.
Yeah, I think Georgia's going to win both of those. I think Georgia's pretty disciplined team when it comes to turnovers, and I think, pretty disciplined when it comes to penalties. And I think turnovers. Maybe we'll force one. Maybe we'll make turnovers happen this game.
And then, is the size of one's cowbell inversely proportional to one's IQ?
Ooh, well, I've been to a Mississippi State baseball game for the Georgia Mississippi State series in 2024, and was in the left field lounge. And there were a lot of guys out there that were making some incredible food. They tailgate right inside the baseball stadium. One of the best college baseball experience I've ever had. They were incredible on the meat smoking. They had some pretty large cowbells out there.
Okay.
And I'll just leave it at that. I don't know. They were great on the grill. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if they were great anywhere else. So maybe that could be true.
You didn't give them like a Wonderlic test or anything along those lines?
No, I didn't. I didn't test any IQs. But I can tell you, it's a good thing that they know. It's a good thing they know how to grill.
There we go.
I'll just say that they got that going.
All right, let's go to Matt Key. He says Mississippi State game plan, something special for Anthony Evans against his old team. So yeah, I think we talked about that earlier.
Talked about that,
sure. Who decided that a cowbell could double as a noisemaker at a football game?
Okay.
To go back.
So here's a little cowbell history.
Machine. Okay,
yeah, I should have done the JP fun facts for this. So So in the early 1900s, the legend goes that a Jersey cow, wandered onto a field where Ole Miss and Mississippi State were playing each other. Mississippi State ended up winning the game, so the school kind of adopted, the cow as their good luck, charm, and kind of adopted the cowbell, over time. So in like the 30s and 40s, apparently, because they had the the cow, excuse me, as kind of their good luck charm, they adopted the cowbell as their kind of noisemaker. The SEC, what's been interesting is that the SEC has banned and then legalized and then partially legalized, and the cowbell has been a point of contention. But they banned artificial noisemakers in 1974, and then they actually, this whole ringing of the cowbell in the stadium while the game is going on is relatively new. It was like 2008 or 9 or 10, somewhere around there, that the SEC decided to make a trial exception for ringing cowbells, as long as they did it, before it's basically the shot clock. Like, you can do it up until there's a certain amount of time left on the play clock.
And they strictly adhere to that in the
stadium.
100%.
Sure. Yeah, never. You will never hear a cowbell ringing past the point. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Last one from Matt. Zion Branch get more time now since the decent showing last week.
I mean, I don't know, man. Somebody's got to make plays. Somebody's got to make plays on the defense. Kirby, what I did like with Zion Branch, he had a couple of busts. He had a couple of situations, and Kirby had him over there, like, coaching him up. Like, there's a pass interference that he had, and Kirby, you could see him on the sideline saying, like, you don't have to do all that. Like, you don't have to, Kirby has definitely taken a vested interest in some one-on-one coaching with Zion Branch, which to me tells me that Kirby wants him to get more time because he sees something there, or either they just need him because of injuries, DeMello Jones and that kind of stuff. But
yep. And then, if I'm not mistaken, KJ Bolden's targeting was in the first half, I believe, right? So he doesn't have to sit the first half of this game. I think
he doesn't. No, so, if it was in the first half, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's see. Let's go to our buddy Herman Wood. Herman's a member of the Bulldog Bourbon Social Club.
He is.
He said Munson was right. You can't get there from here, but where can you get there from? And then he went ahead and answered it. He said, I hate to answer my own question, but you drive there from Birmingham. Go Dogs. So a Munsonism.
I love it.
All right, then friend of the show, Tim Riley, checking in with his own question. How much Florida hangover, early kickoff, Texas look ahead do we see in the first half Saturday? Go Dogs, the real ones.
So I think the benefit of this game is that it is a noon kickoff, which is 11 a.m. local time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's actually a positive for Georgia, because I don't, it's kind of like Mississippi State is going to be dealing with an 11 a.m. kickoff local time. And we know for sure from our own experiences in Athens that can be challenging for teams to get up for. So I don't expect Georgia to have a fast start, but I also don't expect this to feel like a situation where a team is coming out and throwing haymakers like we felt, the last few weeks, it feels like.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So I don't think it'll be as much as a hangover or Texas look ahead as it will be. I think Mississippi State will be more affected by the early kickoff than Georgia, because I just think Georgia, like, when you're a road team, it's like you're not, it's like you're not hanging out on Friday night with, at your whatever, and then getting up Saturday morning for a game, right? You're traveling, you're in the hotel, you're locked in, you're focused. I think that'll be to Georgia's benefit.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. All right, let's hit up Hug Dog.
Fireball.
All right, the Hug Dog, Jason Huggins, checking in with back from the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and can confirm them dogs are hell. All right, first one I think we've hit: cowbells or vuvuzelas. I believe we've gone vuvuzela on this podcast. Yes. Okay, 2, if you were defensive coordinator, how would you coach these young pups? John, I know you already said they need to play better.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think the way that you coach him is exactly what Kirby was doing, right? Like when
Mm,
when Zion Branch made the pass interference, Kirby animated. You don't have to do all that. I think you just have to. It literally is at this point. I think it is play by play. I think it is like you have to give real time feedback. You can't be in a situation where a series is going and then they come off and then you're trying to make all these things. I think you have to be animated in the moment, pull them off if you have to, rotate somebody else in, but do in the moment feedback, play by play specifically. You don't have to do all that. This is what you need, whatever.
yeah.
Because I think is what you have to do at this point is just get very, very specific and very, kind of like make their world a lot smaller. Because one thing that is true about this Georgia defense is it's complex, it's complicated. There's a lot,
Mm,
it's Georgia gets knocked on the recruiting trail a little bit for how complicated their defense is to learn and play. Um, and they do a lot of blended coverages and a lot of things. And I think at the end of the day, make their world smaller. Specifically, you don't have to do this specific thing that you just did,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
do this specific thing that you just did again.
Yeah.
And I think
Right.
maybe that's probably the better part of it is like I think what gets celebrated gets repeated, and so I think it's more of
Mm,
looking at the good stuff that they did and just say
yeah.
do more of this,
Yeah.
and not focusing maybe even on the negative stuff they do.
Okay. I like that.
Yep.
Then he says, is Gunner Stetson 2.0 or in a class by himself? And I feel like it's the latter. Like I feel like I feel like they're pretty different, honestly. I think even in the men, I mean, I feel like physically, obviously different. I think Gunner, I mean, Stetson obviously had the wheels and
Mhm,
would take off, but I feel like Gunner is a little bit more physical with his running than
mhm.
Stetson. And then I will say honestly, I don't think Gunner has quite the gunslinger mentality that Stetson had, and I am not saying that as a bad thing.
No, no. I haven't seen Gunner argue with a coach on the sideline yet. So I think like there's a little bit of a difference immediately.
Yeah,
I think the
yeah,
passion, fire, and energy is there with Gunner for sure. I think it's a lot more maybe controlled than it was with Stetson Bennett at times. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. I think he's in a class by himself. And I also will say, I mean, yeah, it's hard for me. Hug Dog is the damnedest goodest of the damn good dogs. But it's hard for me to say anybody's Stetson 2.0 until I see him on that podium with a
yep,
championship trophy. You know what I mean? Like, there's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's like, yeah, so he's by himself in terms of like, I think characteristics. And I think like keep on winning. And then we can have a real conversation about like where he fits in. But like what I'm seeing so far for sure.
yeah. Agreed. Then he rounds us out with, "I'd rather play road games at 11 a.m. local time," and he's got a point that we didn't discuss: less pre-gaming for the locals. How do you guys feel about that? So I think that's a
Well,
bonus point that we hadn't
that
hit on
is a
yet.
bonus, except they're going to bring those damn cowbells.
Mm.
And so it's like, it's
Yeah.
like, it's how much pre-gaming do you need to just ring a freaking cowbell, ad nauseum? And that's for me, it's like, I totally agree. They have less time to prepare. Team has less time to prepare. I'd rather play road games at 11 a.m. local time. I think the X factor here is those stupid noisemakers, and it's like, ooh, it's like everything else is in your favor, but then yeah, when they load 60,000 of those cowbells in there, yeah, it's
Yep.
like
Yep. Yep.
how much, yeah, how much brown water do you need to stand up there and just ring a bell? I don't think very much. So we'll see how it goes.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Looking forward to seeing you next weekend. All right. We got one more, I guess we'll say round of listener questions.
Oh my God! My God, a freshman.
Trying to put glasses on it.
1980, woo, brother!
All right. It is time for Coach Dribbles over unders. I realize, John, I have not been sharing my same screen with you that I usually do with JP. I'm going to
That's okay.
change. I can change my camera so you can see this. So we're gonna hit the coaches over unders. I didn't clear this with JP, so we were gonna. I don't know. I'll text him before he listens to this to say, are we accepting John for John swap here, or does he wish to send in his own? But you're gonna pick here, and then we'll see how we handle that. I think
Yeah.
he just has to accept yours, and
I think he has to accept. Listen, if you don't show up to the party, you can't complain about what was served. It's like
that's right. That's right. Okay, so I am in the lead, so I'll choose. So I'm gonna kick us off. So first off, on the offensive side of the ball, over under 40 rushing yards for Gunner. I don't think he's gonna have to use his legs as much in this game, so I'm gonna say under. That's my guess.
yeah, I'm gonna say under as well.
Okay. Then over to you, Zach Branch, over under 65 receiving yards.
Over.
Yeah, I agree. Slam that over. And then players with a reception, over under 6.5. I still feel like we'd like to spread the ball around, so I'm going to say over.
Yeah, this one's tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do feel like I'm gonna have to go with over too. I feel like I was trying to name names in my head of people who would catch the ball.
Right. All right, let's go to over on the defensive side of the ball. I think this one's to you, John. So over under 285 passing yards for one Blake Shapen.
Yeah, I'm going over.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to be hopeful. I'm going to say under.
Okay.
And then let's see, over under 2.5 tackles for a loss. I'm going to go over based on our conversation earlier.
I'm going to go over as well.
And then let's see, over under 0.5 interceptions. What do you think, John?
Yeah. Give me over. I think we have a pick.
I think so too. And I feel like we should have had one. We had 2 chances last week and didn't hang on to the ball. I'm going to go over.
Okay.
All right. Special teams, over under 7.5 total points for Peyton Woodring. I'm going to go over.
7.5. So that's a couple field goals. I'm going to go under. I don't think we're kicking field goals. I don't think we're kicking field goals.
After I heard you saying things out loud, I didn't like my answer anymore. So
it's like it's got to be, to get the 7.5, you basically have to have either
at least
you have to have 2 field goals. Yeah.
All right, I'm not going to walk it back because I said what I said, but I changed my intention there. Okay, and then the last one for the miscellaneous. Over under times Bully and Uga are shown on TV together at over under 1.5 times.
Going under. I'm going under.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I feel like we'll get the one in the pregame like montage kind of thing, and then that's it.
And then they'll show them separately.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, all right. Shout out Coach Trail. Thanks for sending those in as always. And JP, we're gonna see how John did for you. Come on up here, son. All right, let's do our game predictions. So looking through the things we look at, the Dogs, last I checked, which was the stuff I pulled all this last night. So I got Georgia as an 8-point favorite from OddsShark, over under 57.5. So that gives you an implied score, basically like 33-25, Georgia. Their OddsShark predicted score has Georgia 36 to 16.8. Parker Fleming, CFB Graphs has Georgia 29.52 to 19.28. And then what we do at My Gotta Podcast, our scoring impact has Georgia 37.92 to Mississippi State 26.05. So I feel like I'm kind of in line with that. I looked through the recent history. We've been tending to score 31 points against these guys, so I'm going to stick with that. I got Dogs winning this one 31-17.
31-17. That score sounds real good. Score sounds real good. I think I'm trying to do a little bit of math in my head here, and I think, Mississippi State scored a lot. I think Georgia is. I'll go back to what I said earlier. I think Georgia is going to be in a situation where this is going to be a game where I feel like Georgia is going to control the game for the most part, but maybe not score a ton of points, but just control it, kind of like one of those Kentucky games. I'm going to go with Georgia 27 and Mississippi State 17. I think it's going to be similar to you. I think Mississippi State, put put up 17, but I think Georgia. I think we're going to be in a situation where it's going to feel like the game. It's going to feel like the game was closer than it actually was.
Yeah.
From an actual stat standpoint, I think we're just going to run it a lot.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
No disagreement here. I think that sounds
Yep.
about right. All right. Let's see. We got a few games from around the SEC. The coaches has sent us. You want to do a quick
Let's
run
do
the
it.
SEC pick 'em? All
Yeah.
right. If I can find my spot here. Okay. So for that, we've got Auburn with their interim coach DJ Durkin.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yeah, DJ Durkin.
Man. They're heading to number 15 Vanderbilt. Vandy is favored by 6.5. That's a 4 p.m. kick on the SEC network. I mean, I gotta go with Vandy on this one.
You know what? I'm going to go with Auburn. I
Okay.
feel like this is the kind of game that DJ Durkin, the Auburn defense has been really, really good. I think Auburn, is still, maybe I haven't looked at their game log in a minute, but I think they may still be one of the only teams in the SEC in the country, not just the SEC, may still be one of the only teams in the country to have yet to give up more than 24 points in a game.
Okay.
Their defense has been really good, and I think yep. They're still one of, I guess there's 3 teams in the country now that have not given up more than 24 points in a game,
Okay.
and Auburn is one of them. So I think their defense is really good, and I think DJ Durkin said in his press conference for the interim thing, he said we're gonna just basically like play wide open. And it's kind of like nothing to lose. And so I'm gonna go with Auburn.
Okay. I like it. We got the Gators, 3.5 point favorites on the road at Kentucky. Kentucky coming off that Auburn win last week. 7:30 p.m. on SEC Network. Oh man, I don't know what to think about this one. I don't think Kentucky's very good. Florida looked decent against us. I guess I'll take the Gators.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Florida too. I think Florida. I think their defense is better. Their defense matches Kentucky like physicality, and I think DJ Lagway is a really, really good quarterback.
Okay. Number 3 team in the country in all the polls, A&M, 6.5 point favorite at Missouri, number 19 Missouri. That's your 3:30 ABC game. I think A&M handles them.
I think Texas A&M is about to run Missouri out of the building.
Yeah.
I think Texas A&M is really good.
I do too. And then the last one, night game, 7:30 on ABC, LSU at number 4 Alabama. Bama favored by 9.5. I feel like again I've loaded up on Bama. I think
I want so bad to pick LSU in the interim coach thing, but LSU I think is in much more disarray. Like LSU, there you don't have a side of the ball to look at and say that side of the ball has been dominant. It's the other side, like Auburn, where defense has been dominant. The offense has just sucked. So they could figure out the offense. They could probably win a game. This one, I think Bama's gonna blow the doors off.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, well, hey, John, thanks for accepting my text message offer to come in and be the guest, John, for the episode. Much appreciated coming in and kind of pinch hitting for JP. Always a good time.
Anytime. I am excited about it. I think shout out to my buddy Lounge Dog, biggest Mississippi State fan I know. I hope that Lounge Dog has some really, really good food on the smoker this weekend, because I think that's probably going to be the only good thing about his weekend, especially because he's a Mississippi State fan and a Cowboys fan, Dallas Cowboys fan. Tough life for Lounge. I think them dogs are about to open up one, finally go control a game, hopefully from start to finish, even if the score isn't a complete blowout.
Heck yeah. I like that train of thought.
Yep.
I'll be I think sitting on the porch watching it. Just have to figure out how I'm going to get ESPN by this weekend if the whole YouTube TV thing isn't figured out. So hopefully we get that squared away.
Yeah, it's terrible. I know some people have tried like the Sling Day Pass. I don't know if you've heard of this.
I have. I
Uh,
actually used to have Sling TV, so yeah, I did
yeah,
hear about that.
yeah, that's the officially recommended of M Dubs,
Okay.
brother M Dubs, Michael, my brother. He says, "Hey, $5.99 day pass will give you sports apparently."
Well,
But I don't know.
brothers know best. So
They do. They
yeah,
do know best. Brothers do know best.
that's one other place you can go check out John Edgemore. So,
All
all right, man, much
right,
appreciated. Thanks again for coming on, and go Dogs.
go Dogs.